Mental discipline was king until the 1880s. It was challenged by the Herbartians in the 1880s, 1890s. William James wrote a book in 1890. The book was called Principles of Psychology, and to my mind, it is the first book of psychology. In that book, he reported on some experiments. He could not quantify transfer of training. What's transfer of training? Transfer of training says, and this goes back to mental discipline, you want to be a better memorizer? You become a better memorizer by memorizing things. You develop your faculty for memory by memorizing. Well, William James could not quantify that. He may have gone about it wrong, but he had people memorize nonsense syllables, did a pretest, had them memorize more nonsense syllables, more nonsense syllables, more nonsense syllables, lists of nonsense syllables, and then he gave them a post-test, and he found that their ability to memorize had not improved. Therefore, memorizing does not help a person's memory faculty. Therefore, the theory of mental discipline is wrong. Therefore, we've got to develop a new theory in order to account for this. One of his students, Edward L. Thorndike, completes the mental discipline overthrow and establishes a stimulus response model, behaviorism, if you will, to take its place. Thorndike ushers in education's scientific movement. Shifting gears, it's the 1890s. There are two influential educators that I want to use as touch points, if you will, for this moment in time. Charles W. Eliot is president of Harvard University. Now, we've heard of him before. He was born in 1834. He graduated Boston Latin School, went to Harvard, got a job at Harvard when he graduated, taught math and chemistry there, went to Europe, did some study, came back, worked at MIT. In the spring of 1869, he wrote a series of articles in the Atlantic Monthly on the new education. As a result of those letters, he becomes president of Harvard later in the year. In the other corner, wearing the red trunks, William Torrey Harris is Commissioner of Education. He's born a year later, in 1835. He leaves Yale because of dissatisfaction with the classical curriculum. Becomes an elementary teacher in St. Louis. Becomes superintendent 7 years later. Founds the Journal of Speculative Philosophy, and is appointed Commissioner of American Education in the year 1889. So both of these guys are influential. From their respective positions, both asserted that the primary purpose of education was to improve society by improving the improving the intelligence of individuals. And the same quality of education should be available to all. we're going to have 40 years approximately of reform going on here now. I've got this pictured, starts with well, there are two groups involved. One group Ed Krug has called the moderate revision group. The other he has called social efficiency. The moderate revision kicks off the reform movement with 1, 2, 3, 4 particular items. Social efficiency comes in with 2, and then the two camps compromise, if you will, on 2 remaining items. So we're going to follow that path. We'll start with the Committee of 10, 1893. Then we go to the Committee on College Entrance Requirements, the College Entrance Examination Board, and the Carnegie Foundation. The Carnegie Foundation and the Douglas Commission meet the same year. Carnegie early, Douglas late. The National Society for the Promotion of Industrial Education continues on in the work of the social efficiency. The two groups come together on the Committee on the Articulation of High School and College, and again on the Commission of the Reorganization of Secondary Education. Let us begin. Oh, and you college folks, this all has to do with you, because what the high schools are trying to do is get their house in order so that the college admissions people will know what kind of product to expect. So let's ease on into the gathering twilight.